Welcome to the Saint Reginald Zoo. I'm honored to be the first guest builder in this wonderful project. Join me as I build a little grassland section for this zoo, including enclosures for bisons, pronghorns, wallabies and emus, and the backstage areas for all of those animals. Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel. And as I said in the intro to this video, welcome to the Saint Reginald Zoo. And if you are wondering why there is suddenly a Saint Reginald Zoo episode here on my channel, I am here to explain, so give me a second. So, a couple of weeks ago, I got a message from one of my fellow content creators, Iben, who of course is working on the Saint Reginald Zoo project, if I would like to be a first guest builder in this project in the Saint Reginald Zoo. And of course, I just had to say yes. I didn't even read the whole message. I just saw that they want me and I was like, yes, I want to do it. It's a huge honor that, you know, they thought of me, that they invited me. When it comes to the Saint Reginald Zoo, maybe let's start from the very beginning. This is a project that was formally started by Planet Brocoaster, who were Masked Bandit and Mike Sheets. I'm sure some of you guys know those names. Really cool guys, really big names in our community. They started this beautiful project that was meant to be a historic zoo in Chicago in America, and I think they over time a bit lost interest or or anything like that. It happens to the best of us. And then Iben, ZWED, JustGoron and Wyatt-Adrews-Workshop took over the project and started to rebuild it a bit, add their own things and so on, and keep this really cool project alive. And suddenly there is a message on my Discord asking me if I would like to build something for this zoo. So of course I just had to say yes. It is so cool that I can leave my piece of me here in this zoo, and that it will be here forever unless the guys decide to delete that. I hope not, because it was so much work. So yeah, first of all, Even asked me if I could build a Bison Habitat for their grassland section, and of course I said yes. After I said yes, they actually decided that they want me to build more. So it wasn't only a bison habitat. They asked me if I would be okay building the bison, for the bison, the pronghorn antelopes, and also the mixed habitat for the wallabies and the emus. And I was like, okay, it will be a challenge, but I definitely can do it. I was super excited for it, so of course I said, okay, I will build for all of those animals. They actually were nice enough to send me the file like several weeks before, so I had time to prepare. But unfortunately, we had the release of the tropical pack in this time, so I had an early access and a lot of work on that. Then I got invited to UK to visit Frontier at their offices for the special live stream. So I went back from this live stream and I started to build here in this zoo right away. And this habitat, this whole like section, not a habitat, because I will be building 3 habitats in here, took me about a week or something to build. And I think that if I would have 2, I would be even more happy with that, because in the end it was a bit rushed. But this is entirely on me, not on the guys, because I just cannot plan my work. This is always an issue. I always say that, okay, I will do this and probably this week, and of course it always ends up with me doing only one thing, and it is always the thing with me. But yeah, I cannot sit and play this game all of my life. I also have my private life. And sometimes, I meet people, sometimes I go out and do other things, and yeah, because of that we have some delays, but this is just me living my life, I guess. So yeah, coming back to the video and to all the stuff that I wanted to tell you. So First of all, what you see on the screen is me building for the bison. I will talk more about the inspiration later, but what you'll see there on the screen is first you will build for the bisons, then we'll build for the pronghorn antelopes, and in the end for the wallabies and emus. So when this video goes live on my channel, the tour of the entire section that I've built for the zoo is already out on JustGoron's channel. So if you like to see everything in detail, if you like to hear the initial reactions of Iben, Goron and Wyatt, you can go to this video. I will put the link down in the description and on the screen right now. So just go and watch this video because the reactions were completely amazing. I wasn't expecting that. I was actually a bit stressed to hear their initial reactions. I was a bit stressed. I felt like before a very important exam or something like that. But their reactions were so amazing and so nice. They almost made me a bit emotional because they were so excited for me and for everything that I've built. And I got so many compliments. So thank you guys if you are watching this. This really means the world to me, and I really appreciate first of all the thing that you invited me, the thing that you thought about me, the thing that you considered me for your big project, and also thank you for being so nice and for an amazing reaction that made me smile like a little child. I was just listening to everything that they were saying during the tour. I was like, you know, sitting there with a huge banana on my face, like the banana smile, and yeah, being happy that they actually liked it, because it was actually a challenge. Let's talk about it. So at first, of course, when I got invited, I was really excited for it. I was like really happy, and I like working with other people in Planet Zoo. The community is so nice. I love my collaboration with the guys on the Wallaby City Zoo, and I was happy that I can also work a bit with some other content creators to see how they work and also how they just create things in this game. Because what I did first when I got the file, I think I spent 2 evenings just, you know, walking through the zoo, because I wanted to feel the vibe of it. I wanted to see what is their style, what they're focusing on, what's you know, how just it looks, because I had to like feed my build somehow to the rest of the zoo. I couldn't build something that is just, you know, out of anywhere and doesn't fit. It had to be fitted to the rest of the zoo, and this was a huge challenge. First of all, the whole tour that I did, I think that I went through the entire zoo 2 times at least. It was super inspiring. Like, they are so amazing at creating those guest spots. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but there's this focus on education of the whole experience for the guests. So there are like different models of the animals, different, I don't know, like there's a model of savannah with small elephants that the guests can see the entire model of their natural habitats. There are restaurants, there are different shops, there are, you know, all of those guest things that I don't really build and I don't really do, and I don't really, maybe not enjoy, but I rather focus on, you know, building habitats for animals. I always love that I build zoos for animals, not for guests, because I don't build too many of those guest, you know, facilities and things for the guests in my zoos. I probably should, because regular zoos have a lot of those things, like different restaurants, like guest facilities. They focus on education a lot, and I don't really do it. And this was super inspiring to me. Like, this part was amazing to see and got me so many ideas and inspirations. And their interior work is just out of this world. Like, usage of the pieces, different pieces used in a very unconventional way. This was all so inspiring inspiring. Of course, Habitat as well, everything was so nice. I was really enjoying myself while being in the zoo. And yeah, the thing that it was meant to be, the older American zoo, is like you really feel it in the zoo. And I didn't have a lot of experience with that. I of course knew that this is a lot inspired by the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is actually in Chicago in America. So I also did a Google Maps tour of the zoo just to feel the vibe of it a little bit. And then I decided to start building. One thing that was also very useful is that even Wyatt and Goron did the whole like mood board for me. So they've sent me a lot of different pictures, a lot of inspirations. They told me a bit what they like to see. For example, Iben wanted to have like those walls, concrete walls in the habitats. I think Goron sent some interior or the backstage like photos. Wyatt like the overgrown fence that I will also do for the Wallaby and so on. So I definitely took those ideas, and thank you so much for those guys because they were so helpful. So whenever you will invite some other people, if you plan to have more guest builders in here, make sure to do it again because it was super useful. Because if you are jumping just to a new project and you haven't been here for the whole like creative process of coming up with the ideas of this for the zoo, coming up with the whole theme, the whole thing, that's how you like to have it looking, just as I am doing with my guys and Wallaby City Zoo. We have a lot of those planning sessions and stuff like that. If you are not taking part of that and suddenly you have to build something for the zoo, you don't have this entire like background story that is there. Of course, I've watched several of the I think I've watched most of them actually, the episodes of the Saint Reginald Zoo, but still I don't have this like background, and this was really helpful. And still I was a bit like nervous if I would be able to actually do it, to actually build something that will be fitting, because I definitely have my style, I definitely do the things how I do in Planet Zoo. But then I thought, hey, they invited me, so probably they like the stuff that I am building. So let me build something inspired by the Saint Reginald Zoo, inspired by the Lincoln Park Zoo, and give it my own Cesar Creates twist. So this is just what I did here, and this is the entire story. Probably a bit too long as always. When I will start talking about those things, I cannot stop. But yeah, this is the entire story, how I've built it, how the hell it happened that the Saint Reginald is suddenly here on my channel. You guys know the entire backstory. And if you are not watching this zoo, if you are here and you don't know anything that I'm talking about it, you are certainly missing out, because this zoo is amazing. Those guys don't do speed builds, just as I do. They build and they do the tour, just as we are doing in Wallaby. I know that some people enjoy it, some people don't, but I think that this is equally as inspirational as seeing someone build, because they a lot of times, explain how something is created and so on, and you can learn so much from those videos. So I will definitely put the links to all the channels, I mean Iben, Goron and Wyatt, down in the description. I'll also put the link to the Saint Reginald playlist here, so if you would like to watch the videos from that zoo, I definitely recommend to do it, because it's tons and tons of inspiration. And once again, for a final time, thank you guys so much for inviting me for this, for considering me, for being so incredibly nice. And yeah, it really means the world to me that you wanted to have my builds in your project, and this is just so cool that I was able to do it. So thank you so much. Okay, so now that we are done with that, let's talk about everything that I've built in here. So, as I told you guys, we started with building and we are still building the habitat for the American bison. In here, I definitely won't show you the entire process of building because I've built 3 habitats and this video would be 1.5 hours long if I didn't cut out most of it. I would just do like highlights. A lot of those things I've already done in my previous videos, in my previous projects. I also copied some things from the Elm Hill City Zoo because I thought that they will be just fitting in here. So for example, the tree with the ivy on it is from the Elm Hill City Zoo. The rock formations, the fence that I slightly adjusted is always also from the Elm Hill City Zoo. So if you like to see how I created this fence, you can go to my Przewalski's horse habitat. I think this is the first time that I created it for. At the beginning of the video, I started by creating sort of like a moat or something like that. So the entire habitat is a bit lowered into the ground and that gives the guest this perfect view into it. I really wanted to build something like that. I think it always works for the ungulates. I also love building for the Hoofstock animals, and I think that the guys from the Saint Reginald knew that, and that's why they wanted me to build for those particular animals. Of course, the Wallaby and the Emu are not the Hoofstock animals, but their habitats are sort of similar to the Hoofstocks. But yeah, the entire idea for this habitat and the Pronghorn one was that this is a very old habitat, like a very old building that I will build in a second. That was, you know, for a very long time in the zoo and is being repurposed for different kinds of animals. So by just moving the fences or adding the fences, it can be used over time for, I don't know, different ungulates. For example, one time it could be used for one animal only. Right now we have 2 of them, and in other occasion there can be even 3. Those metal fences can always be moved. There's also a gate between the 2 habitats, so it can be open, closed, and so on. So yeah, I've built this entire habitat around this building that you will see later. I really wanted to make it like lowered into the ground, as I told you guys, because it was also in the inspirations that they've sent me. I of course had to add my rock walls from the stalagmite pieces. This is sort of like my thing right now, isn't it? I always use it, so I definitely wanted to bring it here, and I think that this part looks amazing. So some of the things that I created for this habitat were, for example, this roofed structure where the feeder for the animals is. This is something that I found online when I was looking for the inspiration for the bison habitat. I also wanted to make this habitat a bit more muddy, so I used the technique that I learned from my good buddy leader for using the custom paddles, using those emissive glass panels and decals. So I used a lot of those paddles in the places where the water would accumulate, so in the lower parts of the habitat. I also created things like custom tree guards. I added, of course, a lot of different rocks and smaller plants. I know that this is maybe a lot of plants for the Hoofstock animal enclosure, but I just couldn't help myself as always, and I had to add some of the grasses, nettles, and stuff like that. And I also added tons and tons of decals to make the ground texture look a bit more interesting, to make it look a bit more muddy, and so on. I've got recently so many compliments on my use of decals and how I do the ground of the habitats that I was completely blown away. Even Best in Slot commented under one of my tweets when I showcased my habitat for the Red River Hawk, that my ability to make the dirt look varied and interesting is unsurpassed. So thank you so much. This was really a nice compliment. And also someone else commented that I can make the color brown look like the most vibrant color on earth. Yeah, I am definitely an earth tone kind of guy. I hate vibrant colors. I don't know, I am this kind of a person that always pays a lot of attention to colors. around me and in my life. I think that there's even a name for people who pay a lot of attention to the colors. I totally forgot, but yeah, I just don't have anything red, for example, or orange, or in my house, or in my clothes, or anything. I always go for those brown colors, beige, grays, sort of greens, and this is my color palette that I feel like very comfortable in, and I think it also shows in my habitats and in my builds. I never use colors. Even those brick walls that I use here felt a bit more too colorful to me, but yeah, I am dull when it comes to the colors, and maybe it's a bit sad, but this is just who I am. Okay, so after being done with the bisons, I did the pronghorn antelope enclosure, and it was very similar to the one for the bisons, so that's why I skipped a lot of it. I didn't want to make this video too long. There is some parts of me adding, for example, this terrain ledge or anything like that. I just wanted to give this habitat something unique, so that's why I created that at the very beginning. And lots of things are like copied over from the bison habitat. That's why I didn't show too much of it. Of course, there will also, as always, be cinematic shots by the end of this video, so you will be able to see that all in the detail. And then I went on to do the facade of the shelter. I won't do the interior. The interior took me so long that again this video will be 2 hours long at least. I just showed you how I did the front part, and it was really interesting. I wanted to create a lot of those doors for the animals to be able to enter their stalls. I thought it makes sense for the bisons for them to have each individual doors, so it's easier for the keepers to handle them. I really love how this shelter has turned out. It is definitely also inspired by the things that I saw in the Lincoln Park Zoo and on the mood board that I got, so I think it's used the zoo and it looks really nice. Especially I like the interior of it. There's a lot of details, and you will see all of that in the cinematic shots by the end of the video. And yeah, after that I went on to do the last enclosure, the enclosure for the wallabies and the emus, so the new animals from the recent Grassland animal pack. I used there the mud walls again. I didn't show you how I did it. Those were done by using the mud walls that I actually did for the Red River Hawk enclosure in the Elm Hill City Zoo. I just adjusted them. I made the whole habitat a bit bigger because there's simply more animals living in there. Yeah, I simply did more or less similar things as I did for the habitats before. I wanted this area to look cohesive. I wanted it to look like a, you know, simply one area, grasslands area in the zoo. I didn't want to make it stand out or anything, so that's why I use like similar things and stuff. The shelter for this habitat will be totally different. I was inspired by one of the shelters from the Lincoln Park Zoo, using the like very dry and very unsaturated logs. Like you can see that they've spent a lot of time in the sun, like they dried and they are really like pale in color and so on. I decided to add a lot of ivy in the end to this building because I just didn't like quite the look of it, like the whole like very pale wall against the rock formations that I had in this habitat, so I had to do something, but I really like it with the ivy. So again, I won't show you the entire process of building this building, but it will be in the cinematic shots by the end of the video. I really loved the idea of combining the emus and wallabies together. I think that they work really nice in one enclosure. I actually considered doing something like that for my Elm Hill City Zoo, but then I decided that maybe it's finally time to do a walkthrough enclosure for my zoo, and I also was in the Copenhagen Zoo and they had something like that, and I was really inspired by it. I loved it, and that's why I wanted to do the walkthrough exhibit for the wallabies. And you cannot have emus emus in the walkthrough enclosure because they are simply dangerous to the guests. So I didn't do it, but I'm so glad that I was able to make it in here. I also created like a very cool, like a bit tilted fence that would prevent the wallabies from jumping out of the enclosure in a front part. It is overgrown by ivy, and it is also something that was sent to me and I really liked it, so that's why I wanted to recreate that as well. By the way, when it comes to the Elm Hill City Zoo, I will have one more episode of this zoo coming out next week, probably at the end of the week. And after that, there will be a bit of a break on my channel, as I told you guys already in some of my videos. I am going for a 3-week vacation, so there will be a break. I lately feel that I really need one, so I cannot wait for that. But I will talk more about it in the video that when it will come, it will be released on my channel. I think on Wednesday or Thursday. I am working on it right now, so I would just have to see how long I still need to finish it. But it will be really nice. I already like it, so I hope you guys will like it as well. I also got so many questions about those rock walls that I am using lately. If I could simply upload them to the workshop. And the answer is yes, I will do it, but I need to work on them a bit to make them look a bit better because some of them are not the best. So give me a little bit of time, and of course I will talk more about it in my future video. Coming back to the shelter for the wallabies and the emus, I really love the idea of having those really small doors for the wallabies for them to go in their individual stalls, and I also had to create something bigger for the emus, and I decided to make it sort of like a hidden in the facade of the building, and I really loved this idea. I used the cameras, the Habitat cameras, as hinges, and I really like using it for sort of like a bigger gates and doors and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the wallabies are not able to use those doors because they are too big. Like the wallabies are too big for those doors. In real life, it would absolutely work. It is just a Planet Zoo thing that they need big, open spaces to fit in. But I've noticed that the guys in here in the zoo don't pay attention to that if something is usable or not. So that's why I wasn't worried about it at all. I was mostly worried about that how dirty I'm making those enclosures look with all the decals, with all the overgrown foliage and so on. They don't do it. They make those habitats a bit more like clean but very organized, like very thought out and so on, and I just do my mess. So yeah, there's always a lot of dead trees, branches, decals, mud and everything like this, and I love it. I love my mess, and this is how I create my habitats simply. We create a huge mess, and somehow in the end it all looks really good and you guys love it, and this is what matters to me. So thank you for all the recent support. It's been really wonderful to read all those comments everywhere here on Instagram or on Twitter, on Facebook and so on. Thank you guys so much for the ongoing support. And yeah, this is actually all that I have for you in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Iben, Wyatt and Goron. And yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, please consider to subscribe to my channel as well. Ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. Give this video a big thumbs up down below, and of course leave me a nice comment if you enjoyed today's video. If you like to support the channel a little bit extra, you can do it with the join button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. And one more thing, Iben, Wyatt and Goron, if you want me again, if you want anything from me again, I am here. So yeah, I would love to build something more for this zoo. This was so much fun. Okay, thank you guys so much. Bye.